All right, good evening and welcome to Iyun with Benzion, Yevamos, Daf Lamed Gimel 33. Tonight we'll be discussing Ein Isser Chal Isser, the nature of Ein Isser Chal Isser. What does it mean exactly? Why? I mean, usually we don't deal with why in the Gemara, but sometimes you have to deal with why to explain the what is going on over here. We start over here in the middle of the Gemara, Lamed Gimel base. The Gemara tries to dissect the case we've been talking about for the past couple of dapim. There's a case where a Zar who Shimish B'Shabbos, Yisrael, right? Yisrael, who's not allowed to do a vote in the base of Mikdash, he brings the Karban Tamid, which is allowed to be born by a Kohen, but you bring a Karban on Shabbos, Zar Yisrael. So you chayiv, according to Rabbi Yossi, you chayiv for two counts. Why? One is that you're doing an avodah. A Zar can't do an avodah in the base of Mikdash. That's chayiv kares. And secondly, you're doing it on Shabbos. You're doing it on Shabbos, even though for a Kohen it's mutter, but you're not a Kohen, so therefore you chayiv. Yossi would hold your chayiv shtayim. He says in the brisa, one for zaras and one for doing malacha on Shabbos. The Gemara says, what is the malacha that he's doing? So that's the Gemara trying to figure out. So the Gemara says, I can't be talking about shchita, which is a malacha on Shabbos, because a zar, there's no problem, there's no kares for a zar doing shchita. A zar is allowed to do shchita. In for kachim, it's talking about catching the blood and throwing the blood, bringing the blood to the mizbeach and throwing on the mizbeach. Tiltal ba'amul is just transporting blood, which is muksa, which is not an isser d'oraisa. Until now, the Gemara thought we're talking about two chatos. Machlokes of the Shimon and Yossi, whether isser chal isser, it's bichayev another chatos, and you have to bring two chatos, or maybe two krisos. You chayev kares twice. So the Gemara says. So the Gemara tries to figure out a case. First, the Gemara says we're talking about a special case, the parashah Kohen Gadol, and therefore talking about Yom Kippur that fell on Shabbos, and it's a problem because you're not the Kohen Gadol, and it's talking about Shchita. Shchita has to be the Kohen Gadol, so therefore that's a malach on Shabbos. There's also an avoda because it has to be on the Kohen Gadol. Then the Gemara leaves off a more simpler answer, Rav Ashi's answer. Midi chatos, before the Mishnah, 2 lines before the Mishnah, Midi chatos, kasani olabi, kasani ala yisur ba'amak chashiv. What are we talking about? Ish chal isur, all machlokes, it's centered around isur. That lashon isur. Isur means don't do it. Could even mean rabbinically don't do it. It doesn't say midah rice. That's it, right? It doesn't say midi chatos kasani. We're talking about being chayiv two chatos. Olavi kasani. We're talking about chayiv two lavin. Two isurim in the Torah, from the Torah. Ela isur ba'amak chashiv. We just said the word isur. Can even be the rabbanan. And the Gemara finishes off. Might not kamina if it's only two isurim. What's the significance? If two chatos, there's a practical ramification. I have to bring two chatos. If it's talking about isurim, is it the rabbanan? There's no ramification for doing this to the rabbanan. So when I said the Kohen Rishon Gemara, if he does two averos, then he's chayav. According to Yossi, you'd have to bury him among the severely wicked people. Those were chayav skila and sreifa. Now, there's a lot of problems with this Gemara. First of all, let's get back to Rashi. Rashi in the beginning, Tiltal Ba'alma, Rashi says, Ein kan shvus. He says, when the Gemara says, maybe it's talking about catching the blood and bringing the blood to the Mizbeach, that's only Tiltal Ba'alma. Normally, when the Gemara says Tiltal Ba'alma, it's signifying, it's only Nisr Derabanan of Muksa, of Mataltal Muksa. It's not Nisr Doraisa. Rashi says, Ein kan shvus. He says, there's no Isra at all over here. This is a discussion. If you look in the footnotes, they discuss this, whether it's muksa or not. The blood is muksa. Maybe the blood shouldn't be muksa because you're using it for a korban. So even though you're not going to eat blood, there's nothing you can do with blood, but you're using it for a korban, ratzon lifnei Hashem. So maybe it's not muksa at all. That's what Rashi seems to say. It's not muksa. The Gra changes it. The Ran Hagos Ranshberg. No, the Hagos Mari Landa. I think I said in the share the Gra. It's the Land Yehuda Lando. I think that's the Noda Yehuda. I think Noda Yehuda. He says Ein kan Shabbos. I guess he means it's not necessarily the Raisa. This is the Rabbani trying to fix Rashi. It's more problematic, as Rashi says. That last Rashi before the Mishnah, sounds like Rashi's saying it's not a chatas or a lav. It's an isser. It's a derabanan. Before he said it's not as derabanan without the girsa change of the note of Yehuda. Furthermore, Tosas Shanim, the last Tosas Shanim on the page, immediately Chazal is kind of lavik sounding isuri kasani perish akuntras. So that means the olam b'kabbalah v'halacha. So he's clearly speaking out what seems to be Rashi is saying. So then he says, "Viparach tiltal ba'amu halo kasha midi the halo gzani al chayav shayim ikal meimar isure kasani." So that's the says Rashi. Veloni hira, he says, doesn't make sense. Rashi says, "Ayin zeh isura came on the inal tiltal the isur rabana." Can't be the Gemara means that you're going to bury him among the extremely wicked people because he violated an isur kares and an isur rabana tiltal muksa. I think that's what he's coming from. It also doesn't make sense. Ayin isur chal isur. We're talking about the rights. We're not talking about the rabbanans over here. Kach nira the kaya hada amri le'eli bavara ha'amar b'yothi lav yatzas. V'al zeh maksha midi chatat k'zani olavi kasagi isuri gachash. Inken hina amri the lav yatzas nicha nema the isura the raisa. So he says it's talking about not moving the blood, transporting the blood, or catching the blood. It's talking about burning the fats in the mizbeach, which according to Rabbi Yossi is still a lav. It's still aser, midol raisa. It's not a carries chatas. That carries the punishment of chatas or karis, but it would be a lav. The problem with this Tozer Shanim is that the Gemara says, does it say chatos olavi katani? It doesn't say it. And he's saying, yeah, this is a lav. The Gemara just said it. It's not a lav. So how are you explaining it according to Yossi? Yossi's model at least is a lav. Yeah, so the Gemara is not saying. So what's going on over here? How do we answer all these questions? I'd like to answer to explain Rashi. That there's two types of Isuri D'Rabbanan over here, right? Sometimes the Gemara calls this D'Rabbanan Shabbos Shus. What do they mean by shus? Shus is coming from the lashon of Shabboson, right? By Shabbos, it's not just an Isra Dumalach, it's also a mitzvah of Shabboson. Shabboson, that's a mitzvah's essay. That's not a mitzvah's los essay. You're supposed to have a day of rest on Shabbos. Shabboson, a day of rest. You're supposed to rest, a restful day, a peaceful day. That's included in the mitzvah's essay. So when the Rabbanan sometimes it says, the Gemara Chazal say, "Ein shvus v'mikdash," or there's no shvus. Shvus is talking about part of the takana of the Rabbanan to strengthen the mitzvah's essay. Rashi didn't mean to say that there's no Isser here, because he clearly says at the end there is an Isser. This is the Rabbanan of Tiltal Muksa. And what is the nature of Tiltal Muksa? The Gemara says in Shabbos and the Kuf Kav Dalid, the whole reason they asked for Tiltal Muksa was Xeri, you shouldn't come to the Watzah. If you start carrying things around in a Muksa, you might come to carry from Rosh Yachid, Rosh Rabbim, which is Raisa, and one of the things that will mechayiv you skila potentially. I have skila for carrying outside, so it's a very severe thing. So they warned you, and they said, so that was gzeira. That's everything gzeira and takana. Takana of Chazal really is to strengthen mitzvah's essay. Gzeira is that you shouldn't come. It's azhara. Azhara. What is even azhara? A lot of times the Chazal use for a lav, they call it an azhara. Azhara means a warning. What does it mean, a warning? If you violate a warning, you could potentially be chayav malchus. So I want to say a big idea over here that the understanding of Isurim, we always understood, most people understand Isurim in the Torah, it's like a red line you can't cross. You can't cross the red line, because if you do that, it's a terrible thing you do. Asur comes to Lashon tied up, and mutter means untied. So you see, even Isurim, there will be a time when they'll be untied. So Isurim are just, and the Torah calls it, the Gemara calls it an Azhara, even a lav, a biblical prohibition, is really just an Azhara. It's a warning. Azhara is Zahir, to be careful. It's to be careful, so you shouldn't come to put yourself in a situation where you're going to, I don't know, cross the line or put yourself in a really bad situation. Meaning, I'm saying a big chiddush over here is that the Torah warns you, the Torah is giving you eitzes, the Torah is giving you eitzes. It's better not to do this now. If you do this, you can be chayav kares, you can be chayav mitzvahs basin. It's better not. We're giving you a good strategy over here. Don't do it. It's not worth being chayav kares. Kares is literally putting your neck on the line. You don't want to put your neck on the line. But there are, like we're talking about Masechus Yevamos, when there's a mitzvah, there's a good reason to do it. Sometimes it is. You have to take risks in life. You have to put your neck on the line sometimes. So I was saying over here, it's not a good idea to violate that. And that's exactly what an Azhara is. And that's what a Gzeira D'Rabbanan of Tiltal Muksa is. The Rabbanan, it's the same idea. It's the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan were worried, even though the Torah didn't answer it, but the Rabbanan were worried you might come to do something very severe. So it's a warning. That's what all the Yisroel in the Torah. It's not, if you violate the warning, you didn't do anything terrible. You just are putting yourself in a bad position where you can come to do something really bad. And that's the whole thing. It's like walking a tightrope. This is life, Gesher Sar Ma'od. Kolam Kulo Gesher Sar Ma'od. The tightrope. It's like Nick Walendo walking the tightrope. That's what it is. World is, Sometimes you take a risk, but you have the balancing, the pole, the balance, do whatever it is. Anyways, I'd like to suggest over here, Rashi, there ain't kan shvus. There's no shvus. But there is an Gzeir D'Rabbanan, an Isser D'Rabbanan. And that's what in Isra Chal, the whole nature in Isra Chal is why is the second Isra not Chal on the first Isra? The idea is that if the Torah warned you for one reason, so I can't. Well, I already know that you're not supposed to get close to this over here. I can't think of a second reason. It's not any more severe than the first reason. The Torah told you to warn. You should be warned. The people that hold Bas Achas, Yisra Kol, according to Rabbi Yossi, Yisra would be Chalas, are saying it is possible to have a more strict. The Torah is saying it's more strict over here, and you should be more extra careful over here. That's what the Gemara is saying. Even by Yisra Rabbanan, according to Rashi, since it's a Gzeira, and it's something where you're violating two warnings, right? According to Rabbi Yossi, according to Rabbi Shimon Bas Achas, you're violating two warnings. The Torah said it's very strict over here. Don't do it for this reason. Don't do it for this reason. And still, you go ahead and violate it. Like the Gemara says, Kevan Shoshana B'chet, you repeat an Avera twice, so then Hutrala becomes mutter for you. You can't go back to that. You can't do tshuva really from that anymore. So you have to be very careful. You might cross a line once, but to cross a line twice already, that is more than putting your neck on the line. That's falling off the rope. So that's why you become part of Rishayim Gemurim over here. So that's in Isra Chal Isra. Isra Chal Isra is just once you're already warned, it doesn't make sense that you should be warned again, but there are circumstances where it is more severe that you could be warned a second time. That's the machlokas, whether it's Chal Isra or not, but it has nothing to do with like, we talk about Kimle B'Derab Amina or something like that, where you can't be chayav Mamon and Misa or Mamon and Malchus at the same time. That's a whole discussion. Masachas Ksuvos, Masachas Bamasiya, they'll discuss. Once you chayav one thing, you chayav another thing. You can't be chayav two things. Those are two chalos over here, but isurim is not chalos. It's not relevant to being chalos. Isur is just a warning. That's all it is, a warning. So once you're warned, right? And the one who say an isur could be chalos or no, it's a severe warning. It's very severe because the second isur is more chomer than the first one. The chal basach is a severe isur. Be more cautious over here. Don't violate it. That should be a Rosh Gomer. Hope you enjoyed tonight's share. We'll see you in Mishnah.